This is the first of 3 videos which go with the book about the police, the court and lawyers, what to do and what not to do. The book is about Dan, who has an intellectual disability, and Hannah, who helps Dan make decisions about everyday things. The book guides Dan and Hannah through the criminal justice process in Queensland. It provides basic information only, and it's not intended to replace the in-depth material available from Legal Aid Queensland or the services of a legal practitioner. The book is funded by the Legal Aid Queensland Community Legal Education Collaboration Fund and produced by the Justice Support Program at Queensland Advocacy Incorporated in collaboration with the Endeavour Foundation. It's available in print and to download from the Queensland Advocacy Incorporated website. This first video explains what Dan and Hannah should do and should not do if the police think Dan has committed an offence and want to talk to him about it. This book should help to be prepared before something happens and the police are involved, rather than later when you might find yourself in more trouble than you need to be. The first contact from the police will probably be a phone call to Hannah, a knock on the door, talking to Dan on the street or at the scene. The police might say, Dan, go to the station. Dan, come back to the station with us. Hannah, we have Dan here at the station. Hannah, bring Dan to the station. Hannah, we want to have a chat with Dan. Hannah, we want Dan to help us with our investigations. Hannah, we want to charge Dan. Or anything in between. Hannah, if the police say Dan has to go, it could mean he has to go now, otherwise they'll just come and get him now, or he can come at a time that's convenient to the police, Dan, and to you, but he must come. Tell the police you'll be coming with Dan because of his disability. Hannah, if you make an appointment for another day, don't leave Dan by himself. You could ask a friend to come and sit with Dan, or preferably send him to respite care to visit a friend or stay with a relative. Tell whoever is in charge of Dan about the police appointment and that you don't give permission for Dan to go to the station at any other time. Hannah, before you take Dan to the station, try to find out, do the police intend to charge Dan? How serious is it, or what are they saying he's done? Will Dan be allowed to come home afterwards? Hannah, try to get a lawyer for Dan. The legal aid lawyers probably won't be able to help Dan at this stage. Even if Dan can only afford to pay a private lawyer for a short time or for a small amount of work, this is the time to do so. Find a lawyer who already knows Dan, otherwise one who specialises in criminal law and also does legal aid work. Ask the law firm if they are a legal aid preferred supplier, and if so, ask for a quote for a lawyer to go with you and Dan to the police station, or for advice about the incident and any steps the lawyer can take before Dan goes, or instead of Dan having to go to the station. If Dan can't afford a lawyer, try to find an advocate or a friend to go with him, someone who is prepared to stick up for him and has some understanding of police procedures. Hannah, what you should bring with Dan to the station. Bring the things that Dan would need to take on an overnight stay, such as medication, a sample in the chemist's container with a clear description of meds and dosage, a list of Dan's special dietary requirements and any allergies, comfortable clothes, personal hygiene products, comfort object, his favourite book, soft toy, blanket, rug, beanie, or clothing. And last but not least, printed background information about Dan's diagnosis or his condition or syndrome. Even something like a Wikipedia printout is better than nothing. And a copy of Dan's latest assessment of capacity or level of impairment, and that's even if it dates back to school years. Hannah and Dan, before you go into the station, work out some rules to keep to once you are inside. Dan, the police may not be sure if you have broken the law. They may say that any statements you make might be used as evidence against you. And this is their way of warning you that if you talk to them, you might say something that makes them pretty sure you have broken the law, and then they can charge you. If you need help to make decisions about everyday things, such as what socks to wear, then of course you can't decide if you should talk to the police or what you should say. Dan, your rule would be that you don't answer questions or talk to police about the things they say you have done. Hannah, some rules for you would be you will tell police about Dan's intellectual disability. You will tell police that you are his decision maker for today. You will tell police that Dan will not be answering any questions, and he has given you permission to interrupt and remind him even if he just starts talking casually to them. And you will give Dan a signal, say a finger across your lips, hand stop sign, nudge his arm, if he does start talking to police. Dan, if you are at the station by yourself, just tell the police that you don't want to talk to them or answer any questions. That your carer, Hannah, usually helps you make decisions or makes decisions for you, that Hannah will be waiting for you to come home, and you want Hannah to come and look after you now. Hannah, if you are with Dan, don't talk about whether or not Dan did the things the police say he has done. Show the police the printed information about Dan's diagnosis and the copy of his assessment. Explain that Dan's not so good at reading or writing, that he needs help to understand a lot of things and probably doesn't understand much about what's happening at the station. If Dan's been having problems lately, then explain about that and the steps you've taken or you will take to get help for him. Ask the police to give Dan a second chance. Now Dan, this is important. While you are inside the police station, you have to do what the police tell you to do. If the police say, sit here, then sit there. If they say, turn around, then turn around. If they say, go and stand over there, then do so. If you don't understand, then say so. If you need to use the toilet, then say so. If you feel sick, then say so. You do have to give police your name and address. You don't have to talk about anything else. If they ask you about the thing they think you have done, then just say no comment. Dan, if you are charged with an offence, if the police think they have enough proof that you have broken the law, they may decide to charge you, which means that they want you to go to court. There are a few different things that might happen if you are charged. The police may give you a notice to appear and an identifying particulars notice, then let you leave. They may give you police or watch house bail, then let you leave, or put you in the watch house. The notice to appear has got details of the law that the police say you have broken, which court you have to go to, and the time and date to go there. So it's important you don't lose it. The identifying particulars notice. The identifying particulars notice says you have to go to another police station so they can take your photo, fingerprints, and maybe a sample for DNA testing. You'll have to go to the station within a certain time. It's usually a week. And if you don't go, police might add on another charge and say you're unreliable. Police or watch house bail. If police want to issue bail, it's usually because they want you to do or not do certain things in future, as well as to go to court. The things might be something like for you to go to a local police station once a week, not to go near a certain person street, or a shopping centre. Not to use your phone anymore. Not to go outside the yard unless a responsible adult is with you. And not to go outside the yard after a certain time. There are lots of different types of conditions the police can make, and it's important that you understand them and will be able to keep them. There's no use for you to agree to go to a police station if you have no way of getting there. If the policeman says to you, well, you either agree to these bail conditions or we keep you in the watch house, then agree to them, but later tell your lawyer how difficult it is to keep to those conditions.